Now, speaking of greed, Steve, let's talk about Mr. Greedy Belly himself, shall we? Because Mr. Greedy Belly, Mr. Tyson Fury, his name's out there again, right? His name is out there again. Is he begging at this point for this fight, to the point where Oleksandr Usyk has been like, fine? Well, what's going on with Greedy Belly now?
Oleksandr, come here, a bit closer. I was one of your greatest fans. I loved the way you work. I still love the way you work in the ring. I also loved the way you looked at the business, but I have changed my view of you. And I don't like what you're doing. Now, he's got all these belts. He is Billy Big Belts. And I keep saying there is a comparator across the pond, which is Fabio Wardley, who is a new champion, but he's doing his championship stuff the right way. He's not fighting a fucking kickboxer. And he's not fighting. Well, what Oleksandr Usyk has also said is, I'll do the kickboxer. I'll do the winner of Wardley versus Dubois. If Wardley wants that, it's a unification thing, isn't it? And then I'll do Tyson Fury. Well, Ajit Kabayel is nowhere in there, so the WBC won't be very happy with that when they've allowed him to have his voluntary defense. And also, somebody else who is one of his other belt holder friends, Murat Gassiev, who he owns the WBA regular title, which is a kind of mandatory title, really, isn't it? But it comes with a belt. And Oleksandr Usyk has the super title. What Gassiev has said is, would you like to fight me, Fabio Wardley? Now, I don't know if the WBA have said, okay, let's have a go. But if Usyk is not going to defend that super championship, then Gassiev is making his own fights. And if the WBA allow that, Oleksandr Usyk, they're saying, why don't you go and fuck yourself? Because our belts are tarnishing around your waist, and this one, around the waist of Murat Gassiev, actually is being fought for. So you just keep that one, and we'll do nothing with it.
Is this a deeper lying issue with the fact that Ajit Kabayel is being overlooked and he is the WBC guy, and the issues between Usyk and the WBC? This might have nothing to do with Kabayel himself, but back to the business end of it, where he's like, you guys just keep taking my money. We know that Usyk has said, and he has issue with this, with the WBC taking his money. And that is the problem with being Billy Big Belts and having all of these things, is you end up having to pay these sanctioning fees over and over and over and over and over again. And maybe he just doesn't want to do this. And maybe this is all just leading into him creating a tarnishment to these belts before he walks out the door, which leaves him to be the last guy to actually have this. You know how long it would take to get that unification status for all of these belts again, the way that Usyk has done it? They're never going to, and now that Zuffa is involved in the mix in all of this with belts, you're never going to have that complete unification again. Usyk's brilliant as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, no, I appreciate that and agree with that. But I have, and I never thought I would be saying this, because of the comparator with Fabio Wardley, I really have a feeling for the belts. And what I think Usyk has to be careful of is that he showed a lot of love by going to the WBC convention and saying, I have 3 belts, it'll soon be 4. And they said, okay, have this free go then at your next voluntary. Picked Deontay Wilder, that didn't happen. Now he's picked Rico Verhoeven. And the WBC wants some quid pro quo. And the WBC don't hang around, and they might just go, you know what? Not happy with that, stripping you.
And then they lose out on the money.
They would, but then it all depends how far they see. Because he's going anyway, Usyk. He's going anyway. Yeah. So why don't you prepare for a new champion? They may do that.
they'd certainly be smart in doing so, because absolutely less than I can count on one hand would have fingers left over as to who inside of that heavyweight division across the board, no matter which sanctioning body has given them a spot, is going to be marketable enough to be able to do this. You got Oleksandr Usyk who shows up in cosplay to pressers. I think a lot of this had to do with he was the counter to Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? When you've got a character like that, you have to be a character in itself. That's what sells these fights. So it really comes down to the sanctioning fees, as far as I'm concerned, Steve. And explain to me, if you can, what's the argument for a sanctioning fee?
Well, now let me just make one, because I got something wrong earlier. This is unlike me, totally unlike me. I can't believe it. I said that Gassiev had called out Wardley, and he actually called out Moses Itauma, which is more exciting, because after you were saying, well, WBC could do with a new well, you know, all that's in play. You know, sanctioning fees. Yes, we are seeing we're seeing, are you behind me or are you over there? We are seeing this marshalling of forces. And Sebastian Fundora, who is a champion and will face Keith Thurman very soon, has spoken up in favor of sanctioning fees. This is unusual.
Okay.
You know, and what he said is, and his reasoning is superb. So what he said is, if you have, and I think he said it was $100,000. If you win $100,000 for a 10-round fight, you get paid that. You know, you've got to pay a lot of people, and it's not a lot of money for a hard camp and a hard fight. If you're the champion, you can add a zero to that. So you can say that's $1 million now. That's better, isn't it? So you are 10 times the money, and you are 3% of that money for sanctioning fees. He's just done a cost-based analysis, a quick and dirty one, and it works. And that thinking works. What I think we also have, though, is champions who have been champions for a while, who have a certain lifestyle, and perhaps then say, I don't want to pay this. And also, not that I can't afford it, but I feel I want another car. I want another racehorse. I want because I'm just like a jockey. I want another racehorse. I want some more Cristal. And I think that's what happens. Fundora is right, but he's talking about champions who just become champions. It doesn't work for those who've been around for a while.
Exactly. Fundora sounds like a lackey to me, who's just become a champion, because what's 3% of $1 million? And $1 million is a great payday for a guy, you know, coming up. 5 million. 3% of 5 million is a big difference of 3% of 15 million, which is 3 times more than that 5 million. And if I'm getting 15 million for my fight and you tell me you want 3% of that, there's going to be a talk, and you're not going to like the words that I say. So I see that. But what I'm saying, like, what is the return? What is the WBC? What is the IBF? What is the IBO? What are WBA? What are they giving in return to these champions? Because with this new kid on the block, there's a dispute now. Now there's a dispute. So you can't say that I'm fighting for undisputedness.
Yes, and the sanctioning bodies people have said they were lazy because they could be, and there was nobody else around. They were lazy. It was alphabet soup, all of that. They have to now step up and be proactive and say, you're all our champions. You are all, and not just champions to stir, but those people who are mandatory. People like Shakram Giyasov and Sullivan Sissoko, I keep banging on about. All of that. We will control this, and we will support you, and we will help you.
Okay.
They've got to do that, but I don't see them doing it yet.
So, but it's not up to the sanctioning bodies to put those fights together. That's up to, and to put those fights out into the public to make the money off of them. That's up to the promoter, right?
It is, but you'd like the sanctioning bodies and promoters to cuddle together for warmth, wouldn't you?
You 100% you should. And they should be. This is what I'm saying. They should be circling their wagons right now because they're an individual. The sanctioning bodies do this, the promoters do this, and then they try to get it together to make sure that this happens. Whereas the new kid on the block, Zuffa, is all in one house. We do everything in one house. We have our own deals. We're ready to go. Come on over here. You don't have to worry about this. Is there an argument between Joe and Steve in the office? You know what I mean? That's going to really cause a problem because the sanctioning bodies are now fighting with the promoters, and the promoters don't really have the time or the money or the energy, quite honestly, because if they did, they'd have their own TV deals. They're constantly fighting for a deal every single fight. Each fight seems to be an individual thing going down the road. Some of them have a deal with a DAZN. Some of them have a deal, you know what I mean? But the Netflix thing, that's always a one-off. DAZN seems to be the only one that's doing anything on the steady unless you have a TV deal like Boxer does at a smaller level, unless you have a TV deal like, that you're getting with MVP, with ESPN, unless you have those kind of deals, but those aren't big, like you're not getting the bigger names. That's where I think Zuffa is really causing a wrinkle in with these guys. So if the sanctioning bodies and the promoters want to be able to fight back against this one new kid on the block, they're going to have to get together and learn how to play nice with one another. And they haven't been able to do that up to this point. Am I right?
That's right. They have to do it tomorrow. It's no good next week. They have to do it tomorrow because Zuffa saw that doesn't work. So if you see a supply chain, if you're a CEO or something, you see a supply chain that's broken in the middle of it, then you get in the middle of that, don't you? And you offer something. You say, that's broken, that bit's broken. I can offer you everything. I can offer you the whole thing from beginning to end. Cut all these 5 companies out. Just deal with me. And I'm cheaper. Just do that. This is capitalism. That it's the best worst system we've got, so I'm told. So that's the way that it works, and I don't think that the sanctioning bodies or the promoters actually really realize they're in business. There's this kind of gentleman handshake thing, which is what we got, and I don't know the exact details, but it seems to be what we got with Matchroom, Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn. Oh, very good. Yes, we'll work on a handshake deal. I'm not saying it's exactly a handshake deal. It sounded like it was. So it's business, folks. You're in business and money changes hands and a lot of it. And so you just need to make sure you get your business down and you all come together. But what that might mean is you have one large promoter and sanctioning body, a bit like Zuffa on one side and Zuffa on the other. A Matchroom will be doing this when I'm talking about that.
It'll never happen. As I just went through it in my head, as you said that, who would be that person? Because you couldn't do it because you already have Eddie Hearn would be like, I need to be that person. And Oscar De La Hoya would already be, I need to be that person. So it's never going to, it would never work. It would have to be a gang fight. It would literally have to be, you know what I mean? It's a gang fight. But there's clearly only one thing really what they need to do. They need to shit or get off the pot, I think is the correct term. Am I right?
Yes, they need to defecate or clear the area. I think that's right. And if they're going to have...
Steve, we're not in a fucking library. I don't know why you need to say it like that. Oh, it's because you're dressed like a jockey. It's because you have your ass caught, right?
I've got my ass caught. Yes, you're quite right. It's the way I'm sitting. But yes, I'm coming up to the finish line. I think it's always like I'm in a fucking library because that's what I'm like. And my testimonials are bound in leather, and that's why you can hear that squeaking.
Oh, I've been bound in leather. Anyway.
So, if it's going to be a fight, it's like fucking West Side Story, where they do the ballet dancing and all that. Have it you, sir. Have it you. It's not going to be a great fight, is it? I mean,
once you're a jet, you're a jet. All right? Forget that shit.
Dear me, Clarissa. So, I mean, yes, I think that they do need to fight, but I think Zuffa are the big boys, and it's that kind of thing of, oh, is that all you got? Oh, now they're all coming from the side streets. Yeah. Oh, there's 5 million of them now. Oh, when we've only got 1,000. I think we better, lads, I think we better go. It's going to be that.
It's going to be